Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, dear fantasy football fans worldwide. I'm Jonathan from Fantasy Football Kingdom, and I'm solo today, and I will do something different today. The NFL season is not yet kicking off altogether, so I will take a look at some fantasy football stats from the new, brand new, pretty much brand new European League of Football. And today we will look at the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers, the top ones on all the positions from the Barcelona Dragons and the Vienna Vikings. Both are currently top teams in the European League of Football and played on Saturday, where the Vikings prevailed. And yeah, the question was, as you see here, first player up is the quarterback from Barcelona, it's Zach Edwards. First question was, can he keep his streak together? He was like playing really well from the start. He's pretty much one of the top 3-4 guys in the European League of Football. He's a mobile quarterback, and he has a good arm and moves well in and out of the pocket. And yeah, he showed yesterday that he was like really good, even against the strong defense of the Vienna Vikings. They slowed him down a little bit, but not much. I mean, he made 22.4 fantasy points, had 2 touchdowns, 275 yards, and 8 rushing attempts for 44 yards. There was 1 interception, but okay. I mean, he still had a really, really good performance, and it was a close game, so it was not like the Vikings were dominant. Zach Edwards, pretty much a must start in each format. There are not a lot of fantasy football formats right now for the European League of Football. Still, we're looking at this from a perspective of a half-point PPR. And maybe we can ready ourselves for next week or next year, when there will be maybe more fantasy football options for the European League of Football. That's what we all hope for, I guess. Okay, so and the next player on here is a guy that's Jackson Erdmann, and Jackson Erdmann he is the quarterback for the Vienna Vikings. He can run. He can run, but he's not that kind of a mobile quarterback like the Barcelona quarterback is. But he's a pretty strong quarterback. He had his troubles in the early games, like week 1 to 3. You see the fantasy football points here are okay, but nothing more than mediocre. And he got his stuff together for the last 3 weeks, and against Barcelona was another strong showing. I think he is a really strong start in every format as well. Depends on the matchup, of course, but you saw against stronger defenses, against Barcelona and against the Panthers, which should be on paper stronger defenses, he was like playing really well. The Vikings have a run heavier approach than Barcelona, so maybe there is a little bit more of an upside to the second words in the Barcelona quarterback, of course. And there's a little bit of a downside here because the Vikings like to run the ball, which opens space for Jackson Erdmann and his receivers. So his rushing upside is not here. He does rush for some attempts each game, but it's not like a really strong weapon of his. He is doing his damage via the passing game. Okay, let's switch to the running backs real quick. We have the lead running back right now since week 3, I guess, for the Vienna Vikings is Anton Wigan. And he is like a really good rusher, a really efficient rusher, and as well, he's dangerous as a receiver. As you see in the last game against Barcelona, he had like 3 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown, so he can score through the air and on the ground. If they stop the run, he always prevails as a receiver as well. So also a strong start in a flex position, or as he is like is right now ranked or whatever as a wide receiver right now, you can start starting running back with pass catching upside on your wide receiver slot, which is a little bit of a trick or hack. Maybe you can tell it like this if the format, if the league didn't change it yet. And in Barcelona, there's a little bit of another situation. We have a split backfield here. There is a lot of run plays go through the quarterback, through Zach Edwards. So there is Adrian Jimenez. I'm probably butchering that name, but yeah. He has like solid rush attempts each game, but it's not really special. So he's not a running back to start. And the pass catching upside is not really there. So we had like 6.6 fantasy points, which is like not really great. You don't want it as a starter. You can flex him, I guess, for some touchdown upside, but it's not really there. He has like scored one touchdown in 6 weeks, same as his colleague, and that's Antonio Montan, and he is more like change of pace running back. He has absolute pass catching abilities and the upside here, but also you see here the touchdown upside is not really there. So yeah, so we cannot really rely on him. But if you want to start a Barcelona running back, maybe you get Antonio Montan for the pass catching upside, still in PPR or half PPR formats. These passes, these receptions count. Okay, next stop, receivers. We have the number 1 or number 2 receiver in the whole league, a perfect pairing with Zach Edwards. It's Kyle Sweet. He has massive touchdown upside. You see he scored at least 1 touchdown in almost all 6 games and at least 2 touchdowns in 4 games. So really crazy stats. He like has over 100 receiving yards each game. Never less than 8 receptions. I don't know what the target numbers are. Sadly, the European League of Football is not counting the targets of receivers or running backs, so we don't know that yet. Maybe that's something that will change in the future, but we don't know that yet. Kyle Sweet is a must start. You can't overlook him. He's a fantasy superstar. You see his worst week was week 4 against Ryan Fire, and he still had 12 receptions and 134 yards. So, oh my God, yeah, I'm already seeing here there is a wrong number in here. The receptions I didn't count the receptions here for the fantasy points. So these are 6 points more. So it's 19.4 fantasy points at worst for Kyle Sweet. That's the week without a touchdown. In all other weeks, he scored at least 1 and or 2. So he is like a monster in each format, and he is a must start. You can't skip Kyle Sweet, probably the best wide receiver in the European Football League today, because he plays on the best team, or one of the best teams as well. Next up, we have last but not least, we have 2 wide receivers for the Vienna Vikings. We have Jordan Bourne, an Italian import flag football MVP, former flag football MVP. He's like an interesting case. He's like he's had an up and down season. He's a really quick guy, a deep threat, and shifty as hell. So he's absolutely dangerous. And you can see that in the weeks where he really scored big fantasy points, he did score a touchdown. Most likely it was a long touchdown. This game against Barcelona, like a 95-yard bomb from Jackson Erdmann to Jordan Bourne, and he was like, yeah, he was gone. So he doesn't have the huge target and receptions every week, but he gets there. I mean, he has a ceiling of like 7 receptions, and there is a floor of maybe 3 to 4. It's good. But it's a risky starting wide receiver. But he absolutely can boom on any given Saturday or Sunday, he absolutely can dominate on the field. And in your fantasy league, you see that he on his big days he has like can absolutely crush 200 receiving yards. He's not really used in the run game. We have like 2 rushing attempts in week 5 against the Panthers, but that's not common for Jordan Boer. He's like more a classic wide receiver that can play. Yeah, you see him everywhere on the field, and he's really dangerous. But maybe not the most stable floor for a fantasy football wide receiver. And the last one is the more stable guy for the Vienna Vikings. Has a sweet target share with, I think, yeah, like 5 receptions per game. You can absolutely expect that from him. 70, 60, 70 yards. Yeah, he makes them count. He's like a really big catchy receiver. He can really dominate the point of catch. So he's an easy target. He's a good target for first downs. For the mid-range game, he also goes deep on the sidelines, but and he did score in the last 3 weeks. This week he did not score a touchdown, but he also is a red zone threat. Yeah, we see here there is one with, let's say, floor, and with when he catches a touchdown, absolutely a fantasy stud is Mike Brewer, and Jordan Boer is like the boom or bust option. Where you can like have a real down game, catch a real down game as well. Yeah, that's all for now. Maybe we can talk about the tight ends next week for the Vikings and the Dragons. There is some tight ends that are in the mix for the Vikings, but he didn't play this week, so I skipped him out. Yeah. This is the first episode, Vikings against Dragons. We had a quick look at the fantasy players that are really relevant from these teams. Coming up next is, all the other teams and matchups are coming through as videos in this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Catch you next time.